This instructional video is for lesson 2.1 in Unit 2. So click into Unit 2. Hopefully you've already done lesson 2.0, the Big Bang. And today's, or this week's lesson rather, is lesson 2.1. So as always, we want to scroll down and not click on the individual links, but we want to click on the start lesson link there. One thing I want to point out is in lesson 2.1, the views of the universe debate is not required. So you don't have to do that one. So just know that when you get to that, that's not required. Okay, let's click on in. And as always, I encourage you to look at the lesson outcomes. Take a look at the vocabulary along the right, expand some things, and get clear on words that you're not sure of. The lesson outline is along the left, so you can quickly move between different sections. I also want to point out that just remember that along the right and left, oftentimes you'll find just tips, learning tips, additional resources, etc. that would be useful. So, or could be useful at least. Okay, the first item to complete in lesson 2.1 is the DQ notebook. And basically, you should, as with every activity or video or otherwise, before you actually click into it, read through the purpose, read through the process. Okay, that preview gives you a sense of what's coming, always good. The DQ notebook link is right there. I've already clicked on it. And here are the things that I want to just make sure that you pay attention to. First, if you watch the introduction to Unit 2, you saw our driving question. How and why do individuals change their mind? And for this DQ notebook, lesson 2.1, try to just use what you've learned so far in the unit to support your ideas each time you answer. And as I mentioned in the Unit 2 intro, you generally get 2 opportunities to answer this driving question throughout the unit. And the whole point is that it gives you an opportunity to do so early and then a little bit later after a little additional learning, and then to identify how your thinking has changed. That's important. Thinking about our thinking is a critical aspect to learning. So really paying attention to how our understanding of something changes over time is really good. And incidentally, it's also in line with our driving question. So for the DQ notebook, you are just essentially doing so for lesson 2.1. As I've told you already, we're no longer printing out worksheets. So all this work is going to be done in your notebook. So basically, you should, if you're doing your job right, you should have a heading somewhere that says Unit 2.0, the Big Bang, Lesson 2.0, the Big Bang, and then like all your notes, and then Lesson 2.1. So you should write that next in your notebook. Lesson 2.1, how did our understanding of the universe change? And then right below that, DQ notebook. And basically, you're just going to answer this question. How and why do individuals change their mind? To the best of your ability based on your understanding of the answer to that question today. Answer it, okay? A nice, thorough answer is what I would like to see there, okay? You don't have to worry about this stuff yet. When you get to lesson 2.2, you'll have another opportunity to answer this question, and that's where you'll also identify how your thinking has changed. But for this lesson, 2.1, you're just answering the question, how and why do individuals change their mind? Okay. Next up is a video, Crash Course Big History, Why Cosmic Evolution Matters. As always, read the purpose, read the process, get a sense for these key ideas, and know that these are to be answered in your notebook after you watch the video. Same thing with conceptual thinking. Some questions in here that you have to answer in your notebook. The summary is just that. It's a summary. Once you've read through all that, then click here to watch the video. Take some notes in your notebook, again, under the heading, Crash Course Big History, Why Cosmic Evolution Matters. And then make sure that you answer the questions in key ideas and conceptual thinking. If you're not able to answer those questions, you're not paying close enough attention, and you're not getting out of this learning what you're supposed to get out of it. So please make sure you can answer those questions. Next up, changing views timeline. So this is, again, you write this headline in your notebook, and as always, read through the purpose and process. It tells you exactly what you are to do. And it says, I think, that you'll be assigned a set of scientists, So I don't really care. You can either do Ptolemy and Galileo, okay, so that would be those two, or you can do Copernicus and Newton, okay. You do a pair of them. I don't really care which pair you choose to do, but essentially what you're going to be doing is in your notebook, okay, not on this document right here, okay, you're just creating a timeline. Okay, you see this right here. This is like a bar, which is supposed to be a timeline. And you're supposed to create a timeline that includes information about each of your assigned scientists. So again, it doesn't really matter to me whether you choose Ptolemy and Galileo or Copernicus and Newton, but regardless, you're going to include at least the following: the birth and death dates, the major discoveries they made, who and what influenced their thinking. So those are the things that I'm going to want to see on your timeline in your notebook. So please draw a line in your notebook and put those items on the timeline. I don't really know why they've chosen to include all the texts here under this Changing Views timeline and put them in the next one as well. Changing Views article collection. These are all the same exact articles, so I don't want you to think there's more articles here. By the time you get to this next section, all it's really saying is, this is a new activity, but why they've got these links here as well as here, I don't really know. Maybe just, to make sure, rather have more than less. I'm not really sure, but just so you know, those aren't new articles. Those are the same exact articles you saw a minute ago. So Changing Views article collection, again, same thing here. You are going through the purpose and the process. You're going to answer key ideas. And this is a little bit different. The main thing that I want you to do for this Changing Views article collection is you already read Ptolemy and Galileo or Copernicus and Newton. And now I want you to just read Edwin Hubble. Okay, so you don't have to read Henrietta Leavitt. Actually, you can read either one. I don't care which one, Henrietta Leavitt or Edwin Hubble. As always with these article items, you do not have to deal with the 3 close reads, so don't worry about that. Any reference to the 3 close reads, you don't have to pay attention to. But here it says that you should be able to answer the following questions about each of the historical figures. So these questions should be answered about the 3 that you've read, right? So in the section above, you chose to read either Ptolemy and Galileo or Copernicus and Newton. And now for this one, either Leavitt or Hubble. So that's a total of 3 that you've read. And in your notebook, you should answer these questions about the 3 that you read, each of them. Okay, and that's it there. Oh, and the conceptual thinking as well. The only other thing in here really is this views of the universe debate, which I told you early on was not something you had to worry about, so you can skip on through all of that. And then the last thing is just take a look at this threshold card is what they're called, and you're going to see these threshold cards in every when we reach every threshold, and these thresholds are super important and you want to pay attention to it. This is like one of those foundational items in big history, is this idea of thresholds of increasing complexity. And in Unit 2, we come up to the very first threshold, and that is the Big Bang. And what these threshold cards will generally do is they will show you the ingredients and conditions that combined in order to create this new complexity. So that's what I want you to make sure you review for this unit. And as always, with questions, come see me with questions, or shoot me an email or whatever, and we'll get them answered. Thanks.